بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن والاه السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today inshallah we will begin studying one of the great hadiths that jurors, fuqaha, use to describe the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ, in the sense that we know that prayers are composed of pillars, mandatory acts, and sunan, voluntary acts. Now, the pillars are extremely important because without them, whether you forget or you're ignorant or you don't know, your prayer is invalid unless you make up for it during the prayer. But if I remember that, oh, yesterday, Asr prayer, I prayed it only 3 rak'ahs. Yalla, ma'alish. No, it's not ma'alish. You have to repeat the whole process again. I prayed 4 rak'ahs, but I did only 7 sujood, 7 prostrations. The 8th one I didn't do. Yeah, that's okay. No, it's not okay. You have to do it again. Wajib or mandatory, obligatory acts, if you forget them, it's okay. If you don't know about them, it's okay. Your prayer is valid. If you remember while you are in the prayer, you have to offer prostration of forgetfulness, sahu. And we will come to talk about this inshallah on time. Sunan, voluntary prayers, these are okay for you to do. You will be rewarded. If you don't do them intentionally, your prayer is valid. No problem to that. And we will come to mention maybe inshallah some of these things. So, hadith number 75.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Narrated Abu Huraira radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Imam is to be followed. Say the takbir when he says it. Bow if he bows. If he says Sami Allahu liman hamida, say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Prostrate if he prostrates, and pray sitting altogether if he offers the salah sitting. Al-Bukhari.
Okay, Muhammad, read the second hadith please.
Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam offered the salat in his house while sitting during his illness. And the people offered salat behind him standing, and he appointed to them to sit down. When he had finished the salat, he said, the Imam is to be followed, and so when he bows, you should bow. And when he lifts his head, you should also do the same. And if he says, Sami Allahu liman hamida, say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And if he prayed sitting down, pray all of you sitting down. Al-Bukhari.
Very well. Now, this hadith, as stated before, it's one of the pillars describing the Prophet's prayer. So the Prophet says in the very beginning, what is the role of the Imam? It's to be followed. So we know that we may not precede the Imam. We may not do things before the Imam. And how is that? The Prophet says, do not differ. Do not do things other than the things he's doing. So if he says Allahu Akbar, say Allahu Akbar. So should I say it with him? No. فَإِذَا كَبَّرَ فَكَبِّرُوا. فَكَبِّرُوا in Arabic means that it follows immediately. In Arabic we have 3 joining letters, and that is waw, thumma, fa. Waw means something and it does not mean the order, so you can start with this or with that. Thumma means the order. This one first, then after a while the other one. Thumma. Fa means the order but immediately. So from this hadith, all the words used, all the verbs used have the letter fa. فَإِذَا كَبَّرَ فَكَبِّرُوا وَإِذَا رَكَعَ فَارْكَعُوا وَإِذَا قَالَ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ لِمَنْ حَمِدَهُ فَقُولُوا. All of them include the fa, which means that the minute he says سَمِعَ اللَّهُ لِمَنْ حَمِدَهُ, immediately you say رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدُ. You don't wait for a couple of minutes, and as he is saying سَمِعَ, you don't say رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدُ. You have to do it immediately after he finishes. And this is part of following the Imam as mentioned before. Also, the Prophet ﷺ is the leader, and likewise every Imam. The Hadith states that every Imam is made to be followed. But the word Imam, is it used only in prayer? No. It's used outside of prayer. Is it used only for good? No. In the Quran, Surah Al-Qasas, we find that it is used also for evil. So the Imams can be part of those who call people for goodness. And yet there are Imams, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, who would call people to hellfire. And how would we differentiate which Imam is this and which Imam is that? By those who follow the Quran and the Sunnah. So it is not an issue of how many followers do you have. We have deviant Imams, big turbans, nice jackets or nice trench coats, clean looking, nice makeup. When they speak, they sound very emotional, and they have followers in their countries and elsewhere by the millions. But they are deviant. They are corrupt. They even embezzle people's money, and they're making a good job. They go to some country and say that the Prophet is crying because you're not giving him money. And everybody's giving him money, and the Prophet is unable to get plane ticket back to Medina. Astaghfirullah. What kind of nonsense is this? So there are Imams that are calling people to paradise, who are on the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ. And there are Imams who are deviant, who call people to hellfire. How can we differentiate? We have the Quran and the Sunnah. If I'm following the Quran and Sunnah, then I'm an Imam who call people to paradise. If I'm a deviant Imam, if I say, no, this Sunnah is okay, no, you can neglect this, no, I would like to innovate, then I'm a deviant Imam. Likewise, we've stated that we have to follow the Imam, not to come before him, not to come after him in a long time, and not to be with him exactly. But we have to follow him, and this is the fourth category that we should do. The Prophet says, if your Imam says, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, you must say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. There are authentic narrations without the waw. That is, Rabbana lakal hamd. So you can say both, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, Rabbana lakal hamd, Allahumma Rabbana lakal hamd, Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd. All four is acceptable and authentic hadith. Now the issue is, the Prophet said, if the Imam says it, you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. If I'm an individual, what do I say? If I'm praying on my own, I say both. If I'm praying on my own, I say Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. If I'm the Imam, what do I say? One? Both. Again, the most authentic opinion that I say both as an Imam. If I am a follower or a ma'moom, I say only one, which is the second one. So I do not repeat. When the Imam says Sami Allahu liman hamidah, I don't say Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. No, I answer. And what is the meaning of Sami Allahu liman hamidah? With the microphone, please.
It means Allah hears those who praise Him.
Allah hears those who praise them. Correct? Arshi?
Allah is the only one who hears those who praise Him.
Allah is the only one. Faisal? Allah heard in the past. And you, Sa'ad? Allah, He is the one who glorifies. I have a question. Allah Azza wa Jal does not hear those who curse? Allah does not hear those who say blasphemous things? Or not? So then, Allah hears is not the correct interpretation. Allah answers. Allah, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, means that Allah answers those who supplicate to Him. And that is why we say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. That's why we're supplicating. We're doing this after this. And this is why it is essential for you to learn the meaning of the things you say. Don't take it literally, because you will find so many evidences in the Quran supporting that sami'a means to answer. Inna Rabbi lasami'ud du'a. What does that mean? Allah hears the dua? No, Allah answers the dua, and so on. So now maybe we've learned something new today for a change. Anyhow, we move on. Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. The follower, the ma'mum, does not say that. He says, Rabbana wa laka alhamd. Now we come to the issue of intention. Some scholars took this hadith, which is an authentic hadith, and said it is not permissible for someone different than the niyyah of the imam to pray with him. So if I'm praying the fard, you have to be also praying the fard. And if I'm praying voluntary prayer, you cannot pray fard, you must pray voluntary prayer. Why? Because the hadith clearly states that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the imam is to be followed. So you're not following him if you are having another intention. But the most authentic opinion of scholars, if you look at the different versions of the hadith, a lot of hadiths, for example, hadith of Ibn Abbas, when he prayed with the Prophet night prayer, the Prophet changed his intention. Another hadith is hadith Mu'adh ibn Jabal, and it's an authentic hadith in the Sahih. He used to pray Isha with the Prophet ﷺ, and then go to his people. He goes to his people to pray Isha for them, but for him it's voluntary, because he's the only one who recites Quran more than them. So his intention was different to theirs, and the Prophet ﷺ accepted that and approved of that. Therefore, what the scholars say, that the difference of the niyyah, the intention, is not valid. You can have different niyyah. He could be praying fard and I'm praying voluntary prayer, or the opposite. He could be a traveler and I could be a resident. And I can be a resident and he is a traveler. So the niyyah is not significant in this issue. Now, we come to the issue of the Prophet ﷺ saying that if he offers the salah sitting, you all must sit down. And if he prays it standing up, you all must stand up. But this issue, inshallah, we will talk about it after the break, and afterwards we will take your questions. So prepare them from now, inshallah. And to our viewers, stay tuned, we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. We talk now about the ruling of the imam if he is a handicap or unable to stand. So the Prophet tells us ﷺ clearly that if he prays standing up, you should all pray standing up, but if he prays sitting down, you must all pray sitting down. And this caused the scholars to differ as usual. And they have a lot of rules and regulations and verdicts and rulings on this issue. The most authentic opinion is, if the imam begins his prayer sitting down, all of those behind him must sit down and pray sitting down, although they are capable of standing. Why? Because the hadith is crystal clear. If he is praying sitting down, you all must sit down. And this has been done by the companions in so many occasions, especially when the Prophet was ill, alayhi salatu wasalam. In some incidents, he fell off his ride and injured his ankle and could not stand up. So he used to lead the prayer sitting down, and once they stood up, he pointed to them to sit down. And they immediately sat down, and he told them that if your imam is sitting down, you should sit down. Why? Because the imam is made to be followed. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ shows us the discipline in Islam. Not only that, it shows us the humbleness. Now imagine if I'm the Imam and I'm sitting down and everybody's standing up. How would I feel? I would feel some pride and arrogance in me. And that is why the Prophet says in an authentic hadith, whoever is sitting and desiring and wishing that all the people stand up for him, may he choose his seat in hellfire. So it's not part of the sunnah at all to sit and people standing, serving you, and you want this, and you wish to see this because this is a sign of arrogance, of kibr. And this makes the person having these feelings go to hell. So the Prophet is telling them to sit down, alayhi salatu wasalam. And he did this with them, and they prayed sitting down in a number of occasions. Scholars say, if the Imam started the prayer standing up and then something happened and he had to sit down, the people praying behind him continue to pray standing up. Why? Because the initiation of the prayer was in the standing position, so they should continue. Evidence? The evidence is in the last or the final days of the Prophet's life, alayhi salatu wasalam, Abu Bakr started leading the prayer. And while in the first rak'ah, the Prophet felt a little bit better. So he was dragged into the masjid by Al-Abbas and Ali, may Allah be pleased with them, and was to be in the position of the Imam with Abu Bakr praying to his right. So the Prophet sat down and Abu Bakr sat to his right, and Abu Bakr went back a little bit. So the Prophet continued the prayer as the Imam, but he was what? Sitting down. And they were all standing up, and he did not tell them to sit down because they started the prayer following Abu Bakr and he was standing up, so they continue this prayer. And the Prophet used to pray and Abu Bakr used to follow him, and the people followed Abu Bakr. By this, all the evidences are joined and combined, and they go in one line. Rather than saying, no, you don't do this, or yes, you have to do that. This is the way of a proper student of knowledge, that he gathers all the hadiths and he makes sure that they all fit and fall into the same line. I think that this is all we have regarding this issue. Of course, before we take your questions, from this hadith we learn the importance of obedience and of following the Imam. Not only in Salat, but also in our normal daily lives. If Allah appointed someone to be our leader, to be our Imam, to be our ruler, it is simple to say that Islam instructs us to obey him. And Islam instructs us to follow him, as long as he's not instructing us to do sin. Because there is no obedience to any creature if he's ordering us to disobey the Creator Azza wa Jal. However, without this discipline, without this obedience, there will be chaos. And that is why even if the ruler is an aggressor, even if he's a tyrant, as long as he's Muslim and he prays, we have to obey him. If he's not Muslim, we have to obey him within the limits, providing that we do not have the capability to overthrow him. But if overthrowing him means killing of people and bloodshed and destruction in the country, Islam tells you stop. You're not ready yet. And the pros and the cons are far greater than the pros. We take your questions in the remaining time. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sam?
Sheikh, I had two questions regarding the invitation. For example, at a home, if the invitation for wedding comes and the family consists of 4 people,
okay,
and 2 people go and attend the invitation, is it okay? And in my life, I had to face a situation where it was made mandatory for me to attend a program, and at the same time I had an invitation for the wedding. So what was better for me, to attend the program or go to the wedding?
A program And
that
TV
provide
program?
opportunity for da'wah.
Okay. First of all, if an invitation is for the whole family and not to a particular member of the family, you're not obliged. I'm talking about individuals. So if someone says, your family is welcome. Now, he did not designate a particular person, so this is an open invitation. But if he says, Sa'ad and Sa'id and Su'ud, they're all invited, they have to all come because they've been designated. Now, if you have other obligation, if it is as important, then you have to attend the first. If it's a program, da'wah program, and a wedding, then in this case you have to seek the permission of the host. Ask him that please let me free and give me the permission to attend. If he doesn't, you have to attend. Because the da'wah program is not something that is a life or death issue. And his invitation is mandatory for you to answer. The question might be that if you have two invitations to weddings, so who do you attend? The first. You attend the first one that came to you. So if I have two conflicting on the same day, which one came first? I don't think that they all came at the same time. One of them came a week prior or few days or few hours, and you attend the first, and Allah knows best. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Sheikh, my question is that should Ameen be said with the Imam or after the Imam?
It's a good question. It's an issue of dispute. When to say Ameen? With the Imam or after the Imam? And the most authentic opinion is that after the Imam finishes Ameen, we say Ameen. Because the Hadith says, فَإِذَا أَمَّنَ فَأَمِّنُوا. And if he says Ameen, you say Ameen. It's like إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا. Once you want to pray, then you go and perform wudu. So scholars say that you do Ameen after he finishes غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. You say Ameen with the Imam. So once he says وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ, you all both say Ameen and not wait. Some scholars say you have to wait after he says Ameen and then you say Ameen. But this is not the authentic opinion of scholars, and I'm afraid that this is all the time we have. So until we meet next time, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.